Mid-year.
Mid-year.
Crazy.
Like, that's insane. You guys did not ask for this video, but here it is. Today we're going to be doing the mid-year freak out tag. We've read some pretty good books so far this year. The questions are pretty interesting. A lot of them were hard to answer.
I'm excited to see your answers. We haven't talked about our answers with each other
Yeah,
yet.
I have no idea what you put for any of them. Let's just get into it.
So we have the questions here. Question number 1 is, what is the best book you've read so far?
The one I ended up choosing is part of a series, so I think the series overall deserves that spot. Shadow Princess, this is book 4 in the Zodiac Academy series, a dark academia bully romance, and there's so much rivalry. It's just absolutely perfect. This one for me was just like a turning point in the series. Best book of the year so far, and she's thick too.
For me, I picked The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This one I just adored so much. I can't believe it took me so long to read it. You had been telling me to get on this.
I know.
The House in the Cerulean Sea is an enchanting love story. There's a found family. It takes place in such a unique setting. I was seriously emotionally connected to each one of these characters. It is definitely going to be like one of my tops of this year.
Question 2 is, what is the best sequel you read so far in 2022?
Big surprise! It is
Shocker.
going to be A Court of Mist and Fury by Miss Sarah J. Maas. It is what it is. I seriously think these books are just always going to hold such a special place in my heart, especially because they were like the first fantasy book I've ever read. First book was really just introducing us to these characters and this world, and then we get here, all of the problems and the overall storyline is here. If you read the first one and stopped there, please keep going, because until you've read this, you don't even know.
You don't even know.
You don't even know what's happening.
So far this year, my favorite sequel has been The Traitor Queen by Danielle L. Jensen. It's a duology, and this sequel just blew my mind simply because I enjoyed the first book so much. I didn't really think I would enjoy the second one more, and I did. It's such an interesting story. So good. It's action-packed. The politics in this world is really good. I honestly wish it was longer than just a duology because I would have read an entire series about them. I highly recommend. Such a good sequel.
Question number 3 is, what is a new release you haven't read yet but want to?
For mine, I have The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. This was a book of the month book, I think in March. I'm now seeing it everywhere, and I think the story sounds so interesting. In 1977, there were 2 murders that seemed random. This woman named Beth was charged with the murders, was later freed of all charges. It's been years since then. I think now it's 2017. True crime blogger ends up interviewing her. A bunch of strange occurrences start happening, and the true crime blogger starts to wonder, is this person really not guilty, or have I bitten off more than I can chew? And yes, that's a saying.
I chose Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I have been seeing this one everywhere. I'm sure you have too. It is like the summer book right now. I do know that it is Love in Other Words and People We've Been on Vacation like all in one.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's like second chance romance, friends to lovers, all that good stuff. It's gotten really good reviews. I will definitely be reading it sometime this summer.
Question number 4 is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year?
There's only one answer for me, and that is It Starts With Us by Miss Colleen Hoover. I am so excited for it. It Ends With Us was just deserves every inch of hype that it has, and I cannot wait to read Atlas's point of view. The cover is beautiful. Did you see she posted like the UK version that they'll have?
I ordered one.
You did?
Yeah. Mine is not too much of a shocker either, but it is Gleanings by Neil Shusterman. This is a collection of short stories that happens in the Scythe universe. And you guys know that trilogy is just so good. I love it so much. So once I saw, you can't even see it. Once I saw that he was releasing another book set in that world, I was like, oh, that is going to be so good. I can't wait to read it. And the way that that trilogy ended, I have been itching to know what has happened since then. So I'm so excited. Definitely my most anticipated one.
What has been the biggest disappointment in books?
I'm like, well, mine was easy. I didn't have to think twice about it. It was The Sweetest Oblivion.
Oh!
This is the Maid series, and I had been wanting to read it leading up to that for so long. I was seeing it a lot. I knew it was some kind of like mafia romance, dark romance, and I had never read anything like that. This is the best way I can explain my experience while reading this book. What I compare it to is when you're watching a really bad movie, but you can't turn it off. You can't stop watching it. And that's exactly how I felt about this book. I am interested in reading other types of books in that genre because I did like the premise. It just was not done well. So yeah, that was definitely the biggest disappointment. I by no means hated it, but I just you wouldn't see me reading that again.
Y'all are gonna hate me for what I'm about to say, but the biggest disappointment so far for me has been A Little Life. And I hate to say it, I really do, but I think half of the problem is that I had really high hopes going into this. Like, I thought it was gonna be amazing, it was gonna stick with me forever. The synopsis, I feel, didn't match what the story was about. Like, it was kind of saying like, we're gonna follow these group of friends and they're all guys and we're gonna learn about like the problems they have. I feel like it was really just about Jude and like centered around him and his problems, which was fine, but I just wasn't expecting that from the synopsis. There's no doubt that it was a really sad story, and that's what everybody told me, to like be careful, it's really sad. It was very sad and the story was very touching, but I just felt like it did not need to be 800 pages. The beginning half really dragged. Like, I had to force myself to read this. I do have to say it was this one. I'm sorry.
Question number 6 is, what was the biggest surprise of 2022?
We Are the Brennans. I don't know why. I was so into the story. I think I finished it in like less than 24 hours. The amount of drama in this book, it was like every single chapter was like, what? It was just entertaining from the very first page to the very end. I gave it 5 stars. Like, I was very surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised at your reaction to this book.
Yeah.
What I picked for this question was The Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. She's such a strong main character, and I love it when we have a strong main character. This is a YA story, but it's filled with so much adventure and love and betrayal and secrets. It's so good. This was just definitely the biggest surprise because I was not expecting to love it this much. I know by the end of the year, this is gonna stay one of my top reads.
Next question. Who is your favorite new author, debut or new to you?
Easy. I'm gonna have to give it to the 2 beautiful authors of this series, Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valiente. I know that they're actually sisters. I tend to start a lot of series and I don't finish them. And this one, from the moment I read that first book, I have yet to stop reading this series. I'm on book 5. That just to me says a lot about their writing. I've yet to get sick of this story, these characters. They've done this series so seamlessly. It keeps you wanting to read, and I think that's why they're so easy to binge. I just love the world they've created. This is definitely gonna be my new favorite series, like, of all time. I can already tell.
For me, no surprise here. It's gonna be Taylor Jenkins Reid. She has been my go-to this year. Like, I have been reading one of her books every single month. I'm really into her writing. She just doesn't disappoint. She's like my second Colleen Hoover. I'm waiting for her to come on a book tour because I want to meet her. That would be a whole different story, a whole different ballgame. I really love the worlds she builds, the stories she tells. Every time I finish her book, like, I truly think these characters are real. 100%. Like, I want to look them up and see what they look like and know about them. So I think you have to be really talented to do that.
Yeah.
And I just love her. If you have not read one of her books yet, I highly recommend you do.
I'm like,
I forgot you haven't yet.
Question number 8 is, who is your newest fictional crush?
Connor Cobalt. I mean, when I tell you while I was reading this book, I was like, okay, Connor.
Yeah.
I had no clue. I did not know what I was getting myself into, but it's definitely my newest fictional crush. This is the first book in the Calloway sisters. So we met Connor in the Addicted series, and we knew right off the bat he's really smart, charming, all the things. Then we really get to know him in this book, and it's like, oh, the spice, like the energy. He's just really reliable. He's the friends that they all turn to when they need something, when there's a huge problem going down and they're all fighting. He's kind of the one who's like gonna settle everyone down, gonna say it how it is. He can be cold and calculated, but when he's with Rose, it's like a whole different story. It's just so cute. I am in love with their relationship. And I I can't wait to read more about them.
There's honestly so many. Obviously, since I'm currently reading the Zodiac Academy series, my fictional crush right now is one of the characters. His name is Darius. Dark-haired man, mysterious, dangerous, mean on the outside. He's had a troubled past. He's damaged, but he's also like fearless, determined, and loves all the people that are close to him. Anytime they have a character like that in a book, that's who I'm gonna root for, you know? He's just something else. And if you've read it, you know what I mean.
Question number 9. Who is your newest favorite character?
This one was hard. I don't normally feel this way when I read books, like, oh, I love this character, but if I had to choose one, I was going through books I recently read, I decided to pick Elias from the An Ember in the Ashes series. I'm only on book 3, I believe, and I've been on book 3 for a while now, but he is one of these students at the Academy for the Martial Empire. He's basically on the bad side, but he has a lot of internal conflict because he knows he doesn't want to be there. So I just thought he was really interesting in that sense. He wasn't like two-dimensional. He had a lot going on. He had a difficult past and he's having a difficult time now. So I am excited to see where he goes from here and how he develops further. But that's just someone I try to think of off the top of my head.
I had a really hard time picking my favorite character as well because, I mean, it's so hard. Because, like, in Malibu Rising, I just read about Nina, Mama Bear Girl, right? Who, like, took care of all her siblings. And I really loved that, but I wouldn't say like she's my favorite character.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's hard. But okay, Tobias King. When he was introduced in this story, it was like, this is a man. I listened to the audiobook and the way they had this man talking with his little accent, I was like, oh, this is like real.
It was definitely like, step aside, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a jump from the little boys she had before. This was Tobias King. I feel like it's been a while since a character has had that big of an impact on a story, and he most definitely did, so I'm gonna give it to him.
Definitely. Question number 10 is, what is question number 10? Oh yeah, what is a book that made you cry?
I'm a crier. Okay?
Yeah, you are?
I am a crier. I will cry over anything. I cried in pretty much all the books I read.
I'm actually crying right now.
I actually just cried earlier. Definitely One True Love is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one, I was crying in public.
Yeah.
This story was so emotional. You all have heard me talk about this over and over again. Just reading the synopsis, I was crying. It's like, what is she going to do, you know?
Yeah.
There's no right answer, so that's why I was like sobbing.
I'm not even gonna say too much about this. If you watch our channel, you've heard us talk about it, you've heard us rave about it. You don't even need to know the synopsis because if you're at all interested in this series, just read it without knowing anything. The way that it's written, you're able to empathize with the character so much that I actually felt like I was in her shoes. So when all of these awful things were happening in her life and she was upset, like I felt like that was happening to me and I was just crying. I was crying throughout this entire book. I literally sat there reevaluating my life. I didn't know who I was because I thought I was this girl.
Okay, complete opposite. Question number 11 is, what is a book that made you happy?
I realized not that many books this year has made me happy because I was really looking. One that I recently read, Without Merit, it's not necessarily a happy story. I was happy with the way that this story turned out, basically. So I chose this one. You really just read about all their secrets and all the things she's had to hold in for years. There's a lot of different emotions, there's different dynamics. The moral overall message of this story, I felt like was really important. So I would choose this one, but as far as happy books, I guess I don't read them.
For mine, I'm gonna say the Heartstopper graphic novel series. I thought it was just so cute. It put a smile to my face multiple times. The characters were just so easy to love and you're just like constantly rooting for them and wanting everything to work out for them. So I definitely loved that one. It did make me happy and I cannot wait to start the series on Netflix.
Number 12 is, what is the most beautiful book you bought so far this year?
The most beautiful book is Firekeeper's Daughter.
Oh.
Don't you just love that? It's a butterfly, but it's like 2 people. I completely forgot I had this book until I read that. Question, I think it's really pretty.
For mine, I have Plain Bad Heroines, and I actually received this as a graduation gift from my aunt. So I'm just so glad I finally own it. It's so beautiful. This is actually a horror novel, and I think me just wanting it for so long, when I got it, I'm like, this is gonna have a prime spot on my shelves. Last question.
Question number 13. What books do you you need to read by the end of the year?
One series in particular that I really told myself I wanted to have done this year is the Throne of Glass series, and I've yet to start it. With Sarah J. Maas's writing, it really is easy to binge, so I'm hoping once I start, like, I just continuously read them, but
Yeah.
that is the series I've had, like, set in my mind that I want to have read this year.
For me, I have to finish the Addicted and Calloway Sisters series.
It's just, we started it so long ago, it's time to, like,
It's
keep going.
time. But I'm not going to want to say bye, but
Yeah.
it's time. And I also need to read the Scythe trilogy. I have to read the 98 books I have up here by the end of the year. That was fun.
That was super fun. It's probably a 20-minute video.
I know.
No one's here any longer. It's been such a strong 6 months already. Even though it's flown by, we've read so many great books.
Since we had to answer what our favorite book so far this year was and the most disappointing books, we want to know what your answers are. So comment them down below and let us know.
We hope you enjoyed this video. As always, we do put out new videos every Wednesday and Friday. So if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Bye. A part of me is in this book forever.
A part of this book is in...
A part of this book
A part of me is in this book.
Like, look, 5, 5, 5,
Mhm.
4, 5.
4, 5, 5, 4. I have to read it before the year is up.
I have to read it before the year is up.
I like decided to add something last minute.
That would be a whole different story, a whole different ballgame.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm like you saying these little catchphrases.